Tim Kalishaw, Kevin Blackistone, Frank Isola, Bob Ryan. Hello, gentlemen. Today, unstoppable forces, shirtless resolve, and butt elbows. Bob Ryan, you're 50 years of covering basketball. Butt elbows, something you're familiar with?
Yes, learn something new every day. No,
Bob Cousy wasn't doing the butt elbow when he was dribbling the ball
It's
in the beach
Around
ball?
the Horn, the
No,
show
got a
of
couple other
competitive
candidates, not him.
banter. Here's Tony Reali.
Hey.
Two schools of thought concerning your NBA Finals as you witnessed it last night. One, the Warriors are really good. And if they're going to win by double digits in Game 1 in a game Harden has 41 points in Houston, it's going to take some serious butt elbowing for the Rockets to counteract. School of thought number 2, though. The Warriors are really good, and minus the very small but very real exception of Draymoning in the series, it might be over. Tim Kalishaw, your number one takeaway from Game 1?
Well, I'm leaning toward the second one there because if you're a Rockets fan and you watch them play that first quarter about as well as they can play, and they only, and the Warriors tied it up right before the end of the quarter. I think they led by 3. And then you watch Harden get 41 points on 24 shots, and you still lose by double digits at home. You've got to wonder exactly what do we need to do. Steph Curry didn't even get going. Steph Curry, had a nothing game for him. Now, they can do a better job on Klay Thompson and not leave him wide open, but the Warriors just have too many of those guys. You're going to leave somebody open, Durant or Curry or Thompson, and the Rockets need 2 of those guys to have a bad shooting night to have a chance to win a single game.
I'd love to look at Tim Kalishaw's intramural numbers to see 18, 8, and 6 is a nothing game. Go ahead, Kevin Blackistone.
Well, what this confirmed for us is really how good they are with Kevin Durant. 25-3 now in the playoffs with him on the roster. Hard to stop. But you know what? If I'm a Houston fan and I'm nervous, but I got to think my team can play a little bit better. I mean, you can't allow Curry and the rest of that crew, Durant and Klay Thompson, to shoot 50% from the field. Not all 3 of them. You've got to shut them down some way, somehow. Houston was one of the best teams, maybe the best team in stopping the pick and roll this year defensively. They didn't see a whole lot of it yesterday, but even when they did see it, they were nowhere to be found. And James Harden, if you're going to take pride in your offense like that, take some pride in your defense because you were getting roasted at the top of the key. So they can play.
Well, the question that begs
better.
then, and I'll turn to you, Frank Isola, can Harden do that? Can he give them an A+ on offense and an A+ on defense, knowing how hard he has to work on either end of the floor? Go ahead.
It's going to be difficult. And last night, he only played 35 minutes, and he was on the bench when they had cut it to 5 with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. There was actually a time where they could have gotten him in there. I thought that was big. By the time he came in, they were then down 10 points. But Kevin brought up the best stat. They're 25-3 over the last 2 postseasons. To beat them in a playoff series, you have to beat them 4 times. They've only lost 3 times the last 2 years in the playoffs. And Kevin Durant is a brilliant offensive player, 100%. But he's destroyed the competitive balance in the NBA by going to Golden State. If he had stayed in Oklahoma City, we'd have Oklahoma City, Houston,
We're not
Golden
having that
State.
conversation now, but it sounds like you're saying the series is over, too, which I'm hearing from a lot of people, all the noise out there. I mean, there was a possession in this game where it was 6, and there should have been a backcourt on the Warriors. Wasn't called. That could have been a 3-point swing here and now. What are we talking about? Bob Ryan, do you see the series as something that's just, untenable and over?
No, I won't go that far, but I don't think it goes beyond 6. And 6 I like best of all because that would be in Oakland. Look, I have a bunch of random thoughts, but the most significant one is this only confirms what I felt all year, that if healthy, the core 4 they have is the best team in basketball, period. They will prevail in any multiple game circumstance, and that's what I think is going to happen. As far as Harden's concerned, he's had an incredible couple of years in which he has many, many nights. He's done what I call calibrated. He's calibrated the whole one-on-one thing with the others. The man is averaging a borderline 10 assists a game over the last 2 years in the regular season. So it's not like he doesn't ever give it up, but he pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds. And last night, he absolutely pounded too much. He can adjust himself to some degree to help their offense. The other thing is they have to stop turning the ball over. That I think is hurt them, because then when you put Golden State in transition, forget it. It's over.
So if we're looking for a path to victory, and I know some of you think it's impossible, a path to victory for the Rockets. I heard D'Antoni say after the game that we could stand Durant going big and they would have to win elsewhere. And I heard D'Antoni say today, we're an ISO team. That's how we won 65 games this year. We're going to keep it up. Tim, what's the path to Houston's victory if possible?
Well, I mean, I think he's right about Durant. They're really not likely to hold him below 30. but they have to feel like they can do a better job on some of the other guys. Klay Thompson had time to catch the ball and dribble it, and then, set and take three-pointers. When he's doing that, he's going to make those shots. They can do better there.
Frank Isola?
Well, the Houston Rockets are going to play the way they've always played. I agree with Mike D'Antoni. They won 65 games playing like this. They pass the ball less than any team in the NBA. It's an isolation team. They're just up against a better team. Go ask LeBron in Cleveland last year. Durant dominated them as well.
KB, a tweak or an adjustment they can make?
Well, one thing they got to do is keep Trevor Ariza on the floor. I mean, he got hamstrung with those 5 fouls way too early last night. That hurt him right there. And like I said, they just got to get better defensively on the arc out there. You can't allow people to get open shots like that.
Bob Ryan.
One, what's with Harden playing 35 minutes? I mean, come on. The old days, the stars would play 45 without batting an eye. Stop that. Number two, here's the guy that if and when they win a game, I'm giving you the over-under for Eric Gordon, 25. He's capable of that with no problem. He needs a big game.
Okay. And the other thing that we didn't really address here, but still, the butt elbow. I mean, what is that about, honestly? Anybody have an explanation for what we're seeing here? Chris Paul's
a feisty player. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So is Draymond Green. This game also could have been different very quickly. It's not like you're going to get that second tee on Draymond Green if you're a referee. You're not going to give it so early in the series. But he did about 4 things after the initial technical, 67 seconds in, that could have got him a heave-ho. And then we're talking about a different game, I think. We'll move on. Cavs-Celtics tonight. Whether LeBron's 0 level of concern will turn into level 1 or level 2 concern. By the way, he showed shirtless jumpers at 9 a.m. 0 concern this morning. And whether you people will ever give Brad Stevens any credit. Frank Isola, I'll start with you. One thing you expect to see tonight and one thing you think will be the deciding factor.
Well, LeBron understands the importance. So as a true superstar, he's getting to the shoot-around a little bit before everyone else, and he makes sure there's a camera rolling as he's working out. I expect him tonight to have a huge performance, 35 points. I think it'll be very difficult for Boston to win. Brad Stevens mentioned after the last game, he expects a championship punch, and it's going to come from LeBron because LeBron, in these situations, down 0-1, look out, he's going to have a big night.
Bob Ryan?
I'm going to borrow from an acquaintance who knows something about basketball. Dana Barrows, former NBA player, of course. And he thinks that the thing to watch for is LeBron posting up more. You saw that clip. He posted up. He can post up anybody the Celtics have, starting with Aaron Baines. He's stronger than everybody. He knows what he's doing down there now. And then he can emanate offense from the post inside out. That's something you might look forward to.
Tim Calishaw?
I think LeBron will have a big night, but if he's posting up a lot, that means he's not shooting threes. That's not really a bad thing for Boston. Brad Stevens seems to be mostly concerned with keeping good teams' three-point shooters off the line. They did a great job against Philadelphia of not letting them get going there. And that's why I think the key is going to be, do J.R. Smith or Korver or Love, do they start getting open for some threes? If they don't, I don't think it matters how many points LeBron has.
KB, how about you?
Well, I think it will matter how many points he has. And we look back to the Pacers series. He was down 1 game, and all the headlines were, oh, LeBron has lost it. He's never come back from such a deficit. He went out in game 2 and had 46 points, and that was pretty much all she wrote. He will have a huge game. He will have many points, and he will incorporate the rest of his teammates and push them forward and get a W.
Can I ask about the praise and overpraise and underpraise, this whole conversation about Brad Stevens? Because it's ludicrously outsized from this chair, at least. Why are we having this conversation daily? Why is Robert Parrish going on Sirius Radio to say Stevens is overpraised? Underpraised? What is going on here with this side conversation about the importance of Brad Stevens?
People are fixated on the people who aren't there. Hayward, who played 5 minutes and was never a part of the deal anyway, and Kyrie Irving, and are not giving enough credit to the guys who are actually doing the job, starting with Rozier, who as a rookie was on the Portland Shuttle in the D League, who has made himself into a very big offensive threat. They have 2 number 3 picks in the draft, a number 6 pick in the draft, an all-star in Horford. They do have talent. The split, it should be even. He's done a phenomenal job, Stevens, but 50% for him, 50% for the team. That's what it should be.
Calishaw?
You know, look, I agree with Bob. It's mostly about the players. It's almost always mostly about the players in the NBA. But the people who quantify this stuff say Brad Stevens is worth about 5 wins a year, which is a lot for coaches. He does put his team in a great position. And we're just trying to figure out how they win without Kyrie Irving, how that didn't hurt him. And the first thing you look to is the coach must have done something to motivate him.
Kevin Blackstone?
You know, we've seen this kind of reaction before. Remember a couple of years ago, Terry Stotts somehow went through the season after losing 4 starters, finished 5th in the West, and managed to get into the second round of the NBA playoffs. And even LeBron James came out and said he should be Coach of the Year. He didn't win it. Steve Kerr got it. So it's back to what Bob was saying. People always look at who's not there and what is happening with the team, and then they give more credit to the coach than is instead of looking also at
so
the players.
So you believe there's more credit than is due to Brad Stevens here?
Stevens did call it. Guy, Rozier has been great. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Let's remember, Brown and Tatum are high lottery picks, so they're not chopped liver. Yes, he deserves more without and Gordon Hayward, but Danny Ainge drafted the players. The entire coaching staff has developed them, and let's give most of the credit to the players, which is what Brad Stevens wants to do.
And Bob, last word after the horn.
And just remember, the season started off with everybody saying, oh, he's going to have to deal with a roster in which only 4 guys are back from the team that won 53 games. So that he had a jump start before the season started on praise.
For tonight, because I got to keep some points out. Who do you get tonight, Kalisha?
I think Bob.
Blackistone.
LeBron.
Isola.
LeBron.
Bob Ryan.
Ooh, Boston?
Wow, that was some conviction from our Basketball Hall of Famer. We're taking a break right here. Buy yourselves next.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Wendy's. Start your summer off with a 50-cent small Frosty at participating Wendy's for a limited time.
Most. They said, you can take this guy named Jonathan Marchessault, who scored 30 goals for us, if you'll trade for Riley Smith. They just gave him 2/3 of a scoring line. Riley Smith's been a good player. Marchessault's been great for Vegas in the playoffs.
Advantage Vegas now. They're going home now 1-1.
Winnipeg's good on the road.
Blackistone, how about you?
Well, I'm buying that Andre Fleury makes this a great series by stopping 30 of 31 shots. In fact, the one he gave up, his teammates responded immediately and put this game really out of reach early on. So this is a good series, and it'll be fun to watch.
Isola?
Home ice advantage, overrated. Winnipeg 1-3 in their last 4 home games. But for Vegas, they acquired Tomas Tatar from Detroit right before the deadline for a first-round pick, second-round pick, third-round pick. He was a healthy scratch in 7 games. Last night, he scored their first goal. He finally paid off.
You gave Winnipeg's home ice record recently. Do you know what their road ice record is recently, Frank?
Yeah, home ice advantage is overrated.
No, I'm just saying. Can you tell the people then what they are on the road?
4-1.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Bob Ryan.
I love that phrase, healthy scratch. Kalisha just wanted to say Marchessault. Fleury is reinventing his Stanley Cup winning self. I got to go with him in the long run. But I'll say this, I love this healthy scratch thing. In the NBA, no healthy scratch comes in the next night and gets 20. You know, the NHL is just all out there by itself.
Resting.
I love it.
We'll move on. Buy or sell to baseball news of the day. Robinson Cano, 80-game suspension, positive test for diuretic. In a statement, Cano admitted he received the diuretic from a doctor in the Dominican to treat a medical ailment, and he regrets it. TJ Quinn, ESPN, reports baseball doesn't suspend solely for diuretics, but when they determine it was used to mask a PED. Cano will not be eligible for the playoffs if the Mariners make it. That's part of the new PED rule, and he's DL'd now, so the clock doesn't start until he comes back. Kevin, what are you buying, what are you selling?
I'm going to buy this. This is really, really bad news. Furosemide is what he was taking, better known as Lasix if you hang out at the rails at horse racing tracks to stop horses from bleeding. Here's a guy who, who's closing in on 3,000 hits, 35 years old, signed a big contract. People in Seattle love him, and to do this, allow this to happen to you, bad.
Isola?
It's a devastating blow for Seattle. They're only a game and a half out of first place in a very difficult AL West. And like you said, Tony, he can't be on the playoff roster anyway. And no offense, but to us obnoxious New Yorkers, and there's a lot of us out there, it's like he fell off the face of the earth when he went to Seattle. Gone, goodbye.
Bob Ryan, how about you?
Every player in organized baseball, including minor leagues, should have on speed dial whoever they need to ask, is this okay to take if you really don't know? In this case, we now wonder what he did and he didn't know. In any event, he's guilty, responsible, and it's really disgraceful.
Tim Kalishaw.
We always say one of these days players will learn, but when you have a guaranteed contract of over $100 million, there's only one way you're not going to get that money. And Robinson Cano just went that one way to not get some of that money.
Buy or sell 3. NBA draft lottery tonight. Those are the odds. Are they in anybody's favor? Phoenix, we'll see what they can do with that. Frank, what's the #1 storyline?
Well, that there's no consensus #1 pick at the annual losers convention. But here's the thing. It's not where you pick, it's who you pick. Donovan Mitchell was the 13th pick overall. So all these teams, they love to show up and tell you about the Lucky Charms that they're going to have. Guess what? You were in the lottery last year with your Lucky Charm. You're in it this year with your Lucky Charms. Guess what? Just draft a good player instead of worrying about turning it into a whole television show. It's a bunch of nonsense. It really is.
Sounds like somebody who's covered the lottery more than Yolanda Vega because you've been covering it with the Knicks. Go ahead, Bob Ryan.
In some years, it's a great appointment TV if there's a Lou Alcindor / Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, etc. And the other years, it's like this year, meh, you know.
Okay, thank you for the raspberry. I mean, Bob, the idea that some people have, maybe we should get rid of the draft lottery. What do you think?
There's a school of thought that leans in that direction. I'm holding out for those exciting years. I don't want to get rid of it yet.
Kalasha.
Tony, people are walking around the streets of Dallas chanting 13.8, 13.8. There's a lot of excitement here. The Dallas Mavericks have never had the #1 overall pick, even though they were the worst team in pro sports in the 90s. We'll see what happens tonight.
Okay, thank you for that very localized take. All lottery is local, I guess. And how about you, Blackstone?
I think the 13.8 was actually Tim's win percentage on the show. But no, seriously, the only storyline that transcends from this thing, if you're not in a city like Dallas that has a pick, is Cleveland, because the biggest offseason story will, once again, what is LeBron James going to do? Where is he going to go? Is he going to stay there? If they wind up with the #1 pick and can get one of these hopefuls for the future, we'll see.
That's when it gets interesting, right? I mean, the losers convention, you say, Frank, but Cleveland's got a shot at #1. Philadelphia's got a shot at #1.
Boston has...
And Cleveland's come through a bunch. By the way, Tony, since I know you want to talk about New York, the Knicks have moved up just once, 33 years ago, to get Patrick Ewing. Number 33, that's already 33 years ago, believe it or not. Hard to believe.
Frank Isola, Bob Ryan, get the bolt right here. I want some of that Kalasha Blackstone heat we were just sensing there with the win percentage. We'll see who's got it in Showdown next. Showdown, Tampa, Washington. Lightning has arrived at the Capitol. But have the Lightning arrived at the Capitals? No more must win than down 0-2 and on the road. How did the Lightning right the ship in Game 3, Timmy?
I think they can play defense better. They can stop giving up goals at the end of periods. But I don't know what they can do about a crowd in Washington. The last time they were home, people were still thinking they're going to lose to the Penguins. Now they're kind of relaxed. They're energized. They're living on house money. It's going to be tough to get through.
I don't know about relaxed. I mean, expectant maybe, but not relaxed. What do they have to do? They have to beat Holtby, #1. I mean, he's been absolutely outstanding in the postseason, particularly in this series. And they have to find some energy from a fourth line or even a third line, which have not showed up for them during this series. They cannot match it.
I'm with Blackstone. What Kalasha said, Washington fans are relaxed. Yeah, talk to me when it's 1-0 Tampa to start the game and it's all over. You've got Tampa tonight, Blackstone, Kalasha. You're making this a series, or is this going to be a sweep for the Caps?
I think Tampa wins tonight.
Okay.
Make it a series.
Really? It's too late. Kevin's already got the point. We'll move on. Best team in the National League right now. Any guesses?
You're not going to say the Braves.
The Braves, it's right on the screen right there. What percentage of this Braves start, not even a start anymore, it's at the quarter pole, is for real, Kevin?
Well, it's their offense. I mean, a plus 57 run differential right now, that means they're going to be hanging around for a long time if they can keep that up. Their offense is fantastic, but the only question I have is about their pitching. I don't think it's as good as the Nationals. I don't even think it's as good as the Phillies. And because of that, I don't think they're the best team in the NL.
The offense might be a little too fantastic. Is that really likely to keep up? Is Ozzie Albies going to be tied with Bryce Harper for the home runs at the end of the season? It's not to knock him for what he's doing, and they brought up Ronald Acuna. They've got great young talent. I just think they're a little over their heads right now.
I think you're a little over your head right now, too, Mr. Kalasha. Point Blackstone, Showdown 3. C.J. Cron hitting the pitch off the bounce last night. Aiden Echeverria juking his slide to score. This happened on back-to-back plays. Timmy, what was the better non-baseball baseball play?
Oh, give me C.J. Cron's swing. That was a play straight out of cricket. You know I love a good test match, and you can see that's where his thoughts are. I'm just going to
Why don't you go have a tea break with your cricket? We don't need cricket over here. Baseball is an improvement over the sport of cricket. We'd be sitting around forever. No, it was the attempt to tag, to get to home plate and score that run. That was
yes, it was the slide, not the tag. Right. Take a tea right now, Kalish Shaw. Blackest on Facebook.
Oh, man, I did not want to hear this news the other day. Retiring from the music world, George Clinton, the high priest of funk. Say it isn't so. Oh, man, I watched this guy land the mothership. I was back there in the days when they were doing crazy albums like America Eats Its Young and Maggot Brain. Nobody put the funk in music, or at least took it from what James Brown has started to make it as universal as it is. I am going to miss the funk in my life without George Clinton.
Who can forget Maggot Brain?
Clinton Yates is retiring?
Taking a break, 23 and a half hours. We'll see you tomorrow. P-Funk.